accordingly. Call this meeting to order. I would stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any comments from the public today? If not, let's move on to, are there any corrections for the agenda?
We have one. We're just going to be taking one item out of order, and that's the closed session item. And we're actually going to be moving it up to right now so that we can have our consultants on the phone at 2:05. And then once that's over, we'll have a discussion on labor negotiations, and then we'll come back and open up the meeting again.
We're going to insert that ahead of 4.
Yes.
Okay, very good. With that, then we're going to go on to closed session. I am going to recuse from closed session. I have 2 nephews in the 2 bargaining unions, and the appearance of non-attending, and I'm going to leave the room closed. So with that, we're in closed session.
Really, that should be kicking off in all the regulatory permits completed. There's a few kind of different interactions we have to engage with in Liberty because the connection analysis was not looking at the full megawatt, something slightly less than that, so they're updating that. But we're very near to the end of the commencement of tree chopping. Also discuss kind of interactions with kind of CPUC in terms of what from a district beyond that 1 megawatt we could do, and just what options exist with us. Not really much going on except kind of high level. It's a lot of regulatory hurdles and nightmares, engagement with that state entity, and then also looked at various different grants that are available to the district. Thinking probably the one most notably was there was EV charging. However, because we were a special district, it was only applicable to states and counties now, but some additional interaction is in being engaged with to see if we would be able to participate. And I think what was good about the meeting is the first one we had, it was more kind of inclusive of all these various different elements, and the grant piece was greatly appreciated just to see what kind of options exist there to really, I think, obviously sustainability is important, but as we look to some of these state mandates, what can we grab now to ensure we're going to be meeting those requirements in the future? So very positive meeting.
Shane, anything to add?
Just to say that, Ross Cole gave a really good presentation. He's our asset manager, I guess. And so they're doing a lot in terms of the I&I, dealing with I&I, using sealant and other manhole caps and other things. They've raised 22 manholes, and I think Nick kind of covered everything else, on that. But no, Ross did a really good job in the presentation. Of course, Shelley did a good job in managing the meeting and organizing it. So yeah, good stuff.
Excellent. Shelley?
Yeah, nothing.
Good.
I was going to hand off the ops meeting to Nick.
How we work this out. No. We had a good ops meeting, what was that, Tuesday?
I can add.
Frank Abadandolo from Underwater Repair, he joined us and kind of reported out, closed out the year, and it was pretty exciting to hear what we were able to accomplish in-house. So again, kind of ripping up what we were talking about earlier in the CIP workshop is, we do a lot in-house. Our crews are very capable. And just wanted to kind of share some of those numbers. Fire replacements and repairs, 51 in the city limits alone this year.
52.
52, well we just did one this month.
Yeah, right.
Closing out last year. So anyway, 51 new, 41 new, 10 replaced. So it's like a non-functioning fire hydrant. This is huge. This is huge for our community. It really, I think, is a visible function out there, and people see that and appreciate it. So just wanted to thank our crews for really knocking those out. And that's in addition to exercising valves, starting to get back into better asset management and testing a lot of our equipment. and still juggling leak repairs. We know we are always chasing leaks in the system, and 217 leak repairs over the course of the year, replacing 9 major valves. This is a lot of work, so this is important to maintain and actually expand the capability with those new fire hydrants of our system. So that was a great report from Frank. And other than that, you know, I think we got a lot of good reports on various aspects of our system. I think we heard a lot of that earlier. I'm not going to go over that again, but Shane, is there anything else you want to add?
No, it sounds, no, nothing really. You know, Stanford campus moving forward with our generator replacement. Dealing with some of the ongoing water quality issues. They're flushing the systems. They seem to be taking care of some of the issues where we're getting elevated iron levels. Yeah, completed the Indian Creek Reservoir spill cleanup. So there's just a lot of things that's all basically captured on some of the notes that were passed out. So yeah, a lot of details in there, but it's good news.
Just to follow up on your fire hydrant report. So next summer, Frank and his crew will be putting in several more in our county area funded by the Colorado Water Agency.
Okay. Excellent.
We're good. And we had an Eldorado Water Agency board meeting on the 10th. And it was basically a budget mid-year adjustment meeting, not a whole lot beyond that. So, yeah, that's all for that. Any board member reports?
Just a really quick one, just to, you know, as TRK's policies and procedures kind of impact me personally, just to show everything's working. After the Christmas, I was actually in Hawaii. First day I was there, get an email. My water usage was 4 times the daily amount, had a leak, called someone, fixed it, no problem in my house. Had that not existed, it would have been a major problem. And so, I mean, just kudos to the process. And, you know, my wife actually called STPUD and they're like, yeah, we'll shut it off. It's this fee and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, as it interacts with the personal, just it's a fabulous program, you know, saved me personally significantly in amounts of money and just heartache. And so, yeah, it's a great program. So kudos to all staff who manages that.
Yeah.
Go.
Nothing.
Nothing further?
Just in the fun facts category.
Oh,
That Iowa caucus they just had.
Yeah.
oh boy.
They had 100,000 people voted. 100,000. And so Nikki Haley got like 20,000 votes. And she spent about 20 million.
About everybody needed 4 pickup.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money per vote.
20,000.
No, I'm just thinking how many votes we get, like maybe 7,000, 6,000, whatever it is. I spent like $2,500, like whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the bulk of it
Yeah.
is
So
at 9.
think of that.
To do the thing, yeah.
Think of that. Well, Turn DeSantis got about 3 times as many votes as you got last time.
Could have paid for a capital improvement program.
No, seriously.
Isn't it? I mean, that's a level of significance, but anyway, it just, when you look at the real numbers, the absolute, it just wasn't that many people that actually voted. That's not, anyway, fun fact, has nothing to do with this. All right, staff attorney reports, water conservation update.
Nothing.
Up close and personal.
Up close and
Yes.
personal. Just make sure. Right. Okay. Just make sure stuff is presenting correctly.
Sorry, that's me.
Okay. Okay.
Got it.
Awesome. So good afternoon, board members. My name is Lauren Benefield. I'm the Water Conservation Specialist. I started in this role about 6 months ago, and it has been a busy and productive half year. Today, I'm presenting a 2023 recap of the Water Conservation Program's services and outreach activities, and to also give some updates on the state water conservation regulations. Before going into the conservation program, I wanted to start off with an overview of the water production. It's interesting to see that 2023 was the lowest water production on record, with a production total of 1,578 million gallons. Some potential reasons, of course, they're all conservation, is, even after a large winter, there's a delayed irrigation season. There was a lot of snow on the ground still, so people aren't irrigating their lawn when there's snow, hopefully. Consistent conservation messaging, continual replacement of leaky water lines, and also some fixture hardening related to our rebates. We believe these contributed to those stats. Also wanted to have a look at the monthly breakdown for the water production. May through September were the lowest productions per month on record, which we can assume was from a relatively cool summer and longer ground moisture due to the really wet winter. Despite that, we do still see a doubling of water use during those peak summer months of June, July, and August, mainly due to landscape irrigation. And then I just wanted to go an overview of what our conservation stage was this summer. We are in stage 1, which meant all of the things that you see there on that side. So now on to the fun stuff, the water conservation program. I wanted to start off with our services that our water efficiency technician and our Civic Spark water educator led the. So our water efficiency technician, Jennifer Cressy, she conducted 82 WaterWise landscape consultations. These consultations were tailored to customers' interests, and we saw a lot of requests for WaterWise gardens that followed wildfire prevention and erosion control practices, so that was pretty interesting. And this included a lot of new customers from outside the basin that were especially interested in these topics. With the governor's 2022 emergency declaration of banning irrigation of non-functional turf for commercial, industrial, and institutional customers, we did offer, we kind of bumped up our offerings of WaterWise landscape consultations to these customers to try to help them comply. This year, the governor did sign into law AB 1572, which bans the irrigation of non-functional turf for commercial, industrial, and institutional customers, starting in 2027 for public agencies and then other agencies in later years. We believe the demand for these WaterWise landscape consultations is going to be on the rise for our CII customers into the future once these regulations go into place. We have been working with the city of South Lake Tahoe to help prioritize turf conversion sites to meet these mandates. Another program we offered is our WaterWise house calls. These are for customers who need help narrowing down the leak locations. Last year, or 2022, was the first year we brought these in-house in quite a while, and it was a huge success. Customers are exceptionally pleased that staff is offering these services and are relieved when they have some direction of where that leak might be inside of their home. These didn't start until July this year, so we're expecting higher numbers coming into 2024. See if I can click to the next slide. There we go. Throughout the year, our water use portal plays a large role in helping saving water through automatic alerting, like Nick mentioned. Giving them locations of common leaks is a part of that. For large leaks, we do check our water use portal twice a day and call customers who have not been alerted. So these are leaks that are burst pipes. This time of year is a big thing for that. We also send letters weekly. In 2023, we sent 648 letters to customers that did not have a registered email or phone number on file to be contacted. And then we did send emails to 4,633 different accounts. One of our most popular programs is our turf buyback. You can see the comparison from last year to this year. This program is entirely grant funded through DWR's Integrated Regional Water Management Grant with a focus on drought response. This summer did have one less month of conversions from snow covering yards. It's a common theme. At present, all of the water conservation rebates are funded through a grant. The irrigation controller rebate, leak repair rebate, and public agency retrofits are new rebates, and customers are taking advantage of these potential water savings. The public agency retrofit covers the cost of water efficient fixtures, And then the public agency has to pay for the cost of having a contractor install them. The school district took advantage of this program, as you can see there, and they were able to retrofit fixtures at all of their school sites. And we are currently working with the city to take advantage of the remaining funds for all of their parks. So the other half of the water conservation programs involves outreach to the community and trying to reach different customer types. Throughout the year, one of the tools that we utilize is digital messaging. Through the water use portal, we email customers with conservation messaging, such as designated watering days, winterizing tips, water conservation state regulation updates. These are great reminders for customers who have lived in Tahoe for years, but also for customers who are new to Tahoe / winter conditions. They're a little bit different. Social media is another tool for reaching our customers in a unique way. This past year, we posted 972 times across 4 different platforms, and we also saw an increase in post impressions from 2022. The posts included a variety of captions, fun and serious. We also used social media this fall to advertise for the irrigation controller rebate, which we reached over 4,000 accounts in 20 days, and that was just a small budget of $2.50 per day. We also went to farmers markets. We went to 11 of them over the course of the summer, changing materials that we brought to pass out depending on what type of customer was there. For example, we see more local families at the Myers Mountain Market, more homeowners and older community members at the El Dorado County Market, and then more visitors at the Ski Run Market. On top of attending farmers markets, the conservation team attended various community events. Some of the big events we went to were the Earth Day Festival, Fire Fest, Tahoe Summit, and the Business Expo. We brought back the summer workshop series on Tahoe-friendly gardening, and it was done in collaboration with the UC Davis Master Gardeners Tahoe chapter. Each program segued into the other and led back to the turf buyback program overall. We opened attendance to online and in person, and then recorded the last 2 for customer viewing. So what's coming up for water conservation regulations? Back in 2018, SB 606 and AB 1668 were passed, and it creates water budgets for retailers based on the 5 standards listed there. The proposed regulation came out in August. We are working on a seasonal population variance tool with DWR, and we did submit our first report back in December of 2023. Even though the regulation is currently only proposed, the legislation said that the first reporting date was January 1st, 2024. So we got that in. And then this summer, this past summer, AB 1572 was passed. It's a ban on irrigation of non-functional turf for CII with potable water. So in the regulation, non-functional turf is defined as any turf that is not used and includes turf located within street right-of-ways and parking lots. The bill would require that the State Water Control Board establish specific compliance certification and reporting requirements. The bill also requires property owners have to certify their compliance with the provisions, and would authorize urban water suppliers like the district to enforce these provisions. The bill would begin phase-in of this ban on specified property types beginning January 1st, 2027 for state and local governments and other institutional properties, as well as commercial and industrial properties following in 2028, and then properties administered by homeowners associations and similar type of organizations starting in 2029.
Can I ask you a quick question on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
One, great program, right away turf space. I'll leave that alone for the basis of everyone's time, my feelings towards it.
Yeah.
I guess really the question was in terms of kind of, if you were a commercial business or, how do people know this is coming?
Yeah, so I guess the precursor to all of this was in 2022 with the governor's emergency drought declaration, where there was a ban on irrigation of non-functional turf. And so this past summer and the summer before, we did send out letters to all of our CII customers, letting them know that this emergency drought declaration was in place, and that offering our services for water-wise landscape consultations and also for our turf buyback, because we do offer to our commercial customers. So,
Do you have an idea of how much non-functional turf exists in the basin?
in the basin, I couldn't.
I'm sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
understand.
in our area, the majority of it is actually within the city, and that would be in a lot of those like strip grasses along Highway 50, like near the bike path and things like that. And this summer, while we were working with the city, they've already got a schedule in place for how they're going to get rid of that, because the year before, when Jennifer Cressy, our water efficiency technician, went out and talked to other CII customers, they were like, well, what about the city, right? Like, you want us to do our part. Can we see some buy-in from the city as well? And so we've been working really diligently with them to try to get the city to convert. And then that shows a really great example for the rest of our community that, hey, look, we're all doing our part in it together. But the majority of it, I would say, is probably owned by the city, just in those like small strip areas.
What does enforcement look like on this?
That's a great question, and the answer is we don't know quite yet until we get the proposed regulation from them. I'm not entirely sure. It is positive that they say in there that it is up to the property owners to have to certify that they're complying with these provisions,
Right.
And then it's just up to us to then enforce.
Okay.
I mean, I guess we are providing sewer to Tahoe Keys area. We're currently not providing water. Would we be in some way charged enforcing that?
No, so that is because they're not our water customer. We're not in charge of enforcing them. Say in the future they were to become one of our customers, it's just their homeowners association, and it would just be on their non-functional turf. Yeah.
But we have assisted them when they've requested with some of these programs.
Yeah, I think right now we do have some meters in place, some AMI meters, to help them understand how much water they're actually using in these common areas, to make it, to help them understand their water use a little bit better. So the last part is, we are looking to update the administrative code to apply with these regulations, and to also prepare our customers for any potential future impacts. The main changes include times of day for irrigation, requiring drip irrigation to follow designated watering days, and adding steps for customers to water 2 days a week to create a more stepwise approach. These were all things that I presented on back in August. We were kind of waiting to see what sort of legislation would go through this summer before bringing them to you. So hopefully within the next couple months, I'll be back with some of those updates. And that's the end. It was a busy, productive year for water conservation. Do you guys have any more questions for me?
No, and this is a hard question, but in terms of kind of the turf that exists, to functional to non-functional, do we have any sense of what that distribution is?
So right now, so with the SB 606 and AB 1668, they do have to give us our irrigable area. So they did that they used LiDAR to fly overhead to tell us how much of our residential landscape was irrigable. There's some interesting things going on with that because we do have a large canopy cover. So they did readjust it and gave us a number, and they're having to do that with CII as well. So we'll be interested to see what number comes out of that. So that might give us an indicator of how much turf we actually have when it comes to our CII. That's supposed to hopefully come out within the next couple years. But I have raised some concerns of our canopy. If it was a problem for residential, how are you going to find that information when it comes to CII? So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll just say, from my own point of view, I'm all for water conservation when the supply runs short. If we were pulling out of a river and the river's running dry and we were threatening fish, or the temperature was going up because of the depleted water and fish are dying, I'd say, we need to conserve.
Yeah.
In our particular circumstance, we have way more water than we could ever use. These regulations are more, they're just a statewide mandate.
Right.
And they're based on the conditions somewhere else, not here. So, just before this, we had a workshop, talked about all the work we've got to do and what that translates into rate increases. And I can tell you that when you tell somebody you're going to raise their rates a lot, and at the same time, get rid of your lawn, don't use any water, those two messages work against each other.
Yeah.
And so to the extent at least for me, I'm just me speaking, if we can soft walk some of these things here, because it's just not critical here like it is in other communities.
Yeah, and that was back in October, there was a public hearing about the Making Conservation a California Way of Life, that AB 606 regulation. And we were able to actually present on a panel. Shelley presented, and that was brought up of, it's very interesting. This regulation has a lot of steps for compliance. Why is it not that, each individual supplier gets the opportunity to choose how they are doing these conservation efforts? And that was also mimicked in a comment letter that we sent in during the comment period. And that's been something around the whole state of California that has been mentioned. I think 2 weeks ago, the LAO office actually came out with a report regarding that particular regulation about water conservation. And it was very interesting, just talking about, okay, well, the water that we're hoping to conserve, these water suppliers only make up about 3% of the state's total water use. And the water we're looking to conserve is only 1% of that. And what is the cost benefit of conserving that water? We all want to conserve water, it's very important, but what is the cost benefit of that? And that's something that LAO report, since it came from such a high up office, I think will be important coming into the new updated proposed regulations.
I lived in Sacramento for a while, and some of these, I just thought from a public policy standpoint, the legislature and the governor need to think a little bit more broadly. Telling people in Sacramento to let their lawns die so that the saved water can go to agriculture that is watering crops that are for export, not crops for export.
Yeah.
That is not a higher use.
Yeah.
If it's your lawn dying, it's like, somebody growing pistachios and shipping them overseas, that's not a higher use for this, limited supply. So they need to kind of balance all the water needs, and I don't think somebody's own personal environment is necessarily the lowest use.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just, I don't like a statewide mandate when there's no physical purpose or motivation for it, and there isn't here.
Gotta run for office, you could be a senator, assemblyman or something.
I'm out of here.
You run in Nevada.
What's that?
I said run in Nevada.
Nevada, yeah. Freedom, yeah.
No, I mean, I think, in terms of that, I do think like looking at it holistically, say from the city's perspective in terms of, and even from the Keys perspective, and I've made this pitch to both the city and to, Keys residents several times in that, to the non-functionality, they should just do that intuitively. What you're paying for man hours and machinery and equipment to cut, treat, do all those things for spaces that are not used is also not economically wise. And I'd say, so, I think there's some kind of wisdom in that and just taking an evaluation of, are we spending this money in dollars? Because I know what the Keys pays monthly for their HOA dues, and a huge component of that is to address some of these items. So I think there's, kind of cost savings to that. I think to your point, you could always, to the messaging, and I think you even mentioned this at the previous board meeting, just, this is the state mandate, we're adhering to the state mandate. But I would always point out, in addition, that we're not using the water and our abundance of water, it does cause us to use our system twice as frequently. So the capacity and the impact of the system is twice as great in the summer as it is in the winter, due to the volume of water going through, which increases the degradation rate, the timeline, and so forth. So there is a cost to our system that is borne out by everybody. I appreciate your points, but I think there is still a cost associated with it.
If it's a cost motivation, that's us. We can,
We could talk state mandates, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like saving money is a good motivator, but just a water saving, telling people we're gonna put boundaries on your behavior. We don't like you having green grass. I don't like that kind of a mandate. But tell somebody, you can save some money if you tore out that green grass. Then, okay, we can do that. I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's not you.
Yeah.
That's not on you.
I'll keep you updated on what we find out.
I guess what we're trying to get at here is to talk about, the co-benefits of water conservation. And maybe that's perhaps something you can add to your presentation next time. And that it's not just about, regulating people, but there's a lot of other things, less runoff from fertilizers and, all that other kind of stuff that kind of goes along with it. So anyway, it's just.
Yeah, the mandates are what they are. I mean, they're coming. So it's a matter of how you communicate those and translate those, make them real to people and balance it. I think that's what you're hearing is, how do you balance that with, a lot of our other needs and investments.
But I agree that, I think the state probably could have done a better job of really kind of being more granular in the way that they apply the regulations. Obviously we're a confined basin, and that perhaps those conservation measures might go more extreme in areas that are moving water across the entire state, so I hear you.
And I think too, like just looking at, this is, to some degree anecdotal if you just drive around, but industrial base, there's nothing really to speak of. So it really is going to probably hit civic, that kind of institutional element the most. Just commercial, where large scales of turf and things. It seems like it's certainly going to be more of a city impact than anybody else, and it's not touching single family.
Great opportunity to pump the turf buyback program, a lot of stuff we did, right?
Yep, absolutely.
You have an answer.
Yeah, well, I can tell you though, in the Keys, I am on the board of the Keys. And our messaging has been, first of all, we went through that terrible drought and everybody's lawns died anyway. So it's like, rather than playing it back, now's a good time to re-envision this thing. And, very few people have kids out there. So a lawn, you just mow it. It's just work. So
This is Dave, that mowing the lawn and my hatred of it from my father is probably my feelings for turf. So whatever fertilizer competition, blame my dad, because it was his fault.
So it's like, do something that's easy to maintain, doesn't use any water. And we've got the goose problem. So the geese, they produce a tremendous amount of crap. A tremendous amount. And our water weeds problem is fueled by, fertilizer, right?
Yeah.
And the geese, they eat grass. So if you don't have any grass in your front yard, geese aren't grazing in your front yard. And our goose population has dropped with with the people re-landscaping. So you say, it's better for the waterways. It's better for you. You don't have to maintain all that. And And it costs you less.
And I have to say, that was to the marketing. When we got, we bought a house that had grass, we took advantage actually of this program before I was on the board. And that was the thing I really appreciated. I told other people, I said, hey, that time you're like working on your grass and cutting it and edging, I'm like, I'm mountain biking. Like, it just sits there and I really have to do nothing to it. It's great.
It's just work.
Just work.
All
So
right.
Lauren, in your updated presentation, put a benefit down that there's gonna be fewer geese on your lawn.
I'll make a note of it.
I think, honestly,
I'll make a
there's
note.
a lot of, in terms of.
Yeah,
vegetation
absolutely.
and all that stuff. So anyway, I think that would just add a little more,
Absolutely.
I guess ammunition for why we do water conservation.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks. Yeah, great presentation as always.
Thank you. Good job.
All GM report.
I actually have nothing today, no staffing update.
Very good. Past and future meetings are noticed in the agenda. And turn the page. And we've already done closed session. So if there's no other business, we're adjourned.